Hi, it's Dr. Catherine Cucatone and Finnegan, or Catherine and Finnegan. And today is going to be the first day of a series ongoing. I'll add to one of the playlists that is on healing from your trauma through your yoga practice. And the books that I'm using to support this practice are Joanne Spence's Trauma Informed Yoga, a toolbox for therapists, my Embodied Healing Workbook, which is the art and science of befriending your body in trauma recovery, Ariel Schwartz's Therapeutic Yoga for trauma recovery, and a book I wrote with Joanne Spence, Trauma Informed and Trauma Responsive Yoga Teaching. And the main thing, so there's so many things, and that's why this will be a series. We want to, first of all, have your body work toward experiencing a sense of safety. Really being able to feel grounded, connected to the earth, feel connected to your own breath and body in a way that feels regulated and comforting, and to start to experience a sense of safety in the world around you and potentially with the others around you. So we'll begin this practice in the process of experimenting with all those layers, and it will include working with sensations, working with emotions, and working with thoughts. So it will also include being with on all those levels. We'll work a lot with being with and working with interchangeably, and maybe most importantly is the being with. However, for some of us, the working with gives us a pathway to being with. It's the being with that's hard. So we're going to do a bunch of that. I will focus today on a balancing practice. So not balancing in terms of a lot of balance poses, although we'll do some, but balancing in terms of things that will help regulate and balance the nervous system. So the first thing we want to do is to orient ourselves, you orient yourself to your environment. We want to let your nervous system feel that it has a sense of what's going on around you before we try to dial in. This will allow your body to not focus on being a sentinel, looking out, monitoring, surveying the environment, and give you a chance to turn inward. So I'm hoping that you are practicing in a place that feels relatively safe for you in general. I'm in a back room that my husband built that has two doors. One door exits into the house, one door into our porch. I have windows behind me, the backyard behind me. And so I want you to do the same thing. You're really orienting around your space and where are the entrances and exits, and then what's in your space. So mine, you can see a lot of it. I put Finnegan's little stairs up on the couch so it's not in the way of your view. There's a blanket on the chair. I have Hobbs over here, and he's got a little water fountain that he drinks from, and he's playing. And I have plants and such. I have my morning coffee and turmeric there, my towel, and some of Finnegan's bones on the floor. So I just have a good sense. And I'm the only one home right now, so I know where the front door is. I can hear outside, and it's pretty peaceful in my neighborhood right now and quiet. It's early in the morning. And there's Hobbsy. I have another cat, Taffy, who's I think in the basement. So there, I've oriented to the space a bit. And then the next thing is to, once we've really had a moment with that layer, eyes, ears, and just a counting of what's there, I can settle into the body. And then give the body, your body, groundedness. So I'm sitting on a block so that my sit bones can feel well supported, and it's a way with the block underneath me that I can sit comfortably with my hips. So feeling the sense of groundedness and rocking back and forth, just giving myself a sense of the groundedness forward and back. Yeah, and then I have my people. Yeah. And then I'll start to have an awareness of the groundedness that is able to move up through my body because I've given myself awareness of the environment, a groundedness in the space. So I'm feeling the sit bones, I'm feeling my legs. I'm going to draw that up into my core and activate these muscles. So, trauma wise, just the term activation, right, can be something like, uh-oh. So let's activate the muscles and breathe slowly so I can be alert and engaged and activated, but I don't need to be necessarily overwhelmed. And if I begin to feel overwhelmed, I can center on the earth and my breath and my heart and calm myself. So let's start with that practice, grounding and breathing. We oriented, we're here in the room, we're here on the mat, we're here in this neighborhood, we're here this morning or this afternoon, whenever you're practicing. I have my people, I am oriented, and now I'm going to ground. Maybe rock side to side, forward and back, feel the earth. Good, and then I'm going to breathe, just gentle, subtle breaths, a hand on my heart, a hand on my belly, breathing into the belly and out of the belly. These breaths don't need to be too deep, just a nice awareness of breath and breath moving in and out. I'm allowing the breath to move through my nose. So unless your nose is super stuffy, then you can breathe through your mouth, but see if you can breathe through your nose, if it's clear. I have my eyes closed, but that's because my body is feeling safe right now. Maybe you might want to keep your eyes open if this feels a bit overwhelming and let your eyes anchor on something that is calming and grounding and isn't moving. Yeah. And so we can always go to this orienting, grounding, breathing whenever we need to help down regulate the system if it feels activated. So this tool is always here. And in fact, I have it in the beginning of almost every book because it is such an essential tool for supporting the nervous system. It's a way of telling your nervous system, almost like calming a baby or a puppy, it's okay. It's okay. So we're grounding, breathing, right, in a well-oriented space. And that might be all that you do today. So the other thing that we do to help regulate our system is we work toward different levels of exposure and we really flow with what is in our capacity today. We'll work in our comfort zone. That's super important. And then we'll work a little bit into the growth zone, what school teachers call the zone of proximal development, where with some support, with tools, we can go outside of our comfort zone. And we want to not push ourselves outside of our window of tolerance into a fight or flight or into a shutdown. So we're just watching for that edge of our window of tolerance as we cycle in our growth zone, in our comfort zone, back and forth, great effort and great rest. And at any point it feels right for your body to be finished with class, then it's time for your body to be finished with class. And we don't need to have goals of like this many minutes, that many minutes. It's more about my relationship with my body and my soul and maybe the God of my understanding, that relationship. And that relationship doesn't really worry about how many minutes. That relationship worries about just us working on it. Okay? So if this is how many minutes worked for you and you're ready to go, perfect. And I'll have a closing ritual at the end if you want to fast forward at any point in class to the closing at the end so that you can really seal your practice, then please do so. So the next step I want to do that I'm grounded, oriented, and breathing is I want to begin to practice mobilizing without fear. So in trauma, our body has learned to either mobilize to help us stay safe or immobilize to help us stay safe. So we either collapsed in a protective state or we got going in a protective state. Maybe you even fight it in a protective state. So we fought, I should say, fight it. And in that protective state, we were mobilized to get out, to fight, or immobilized to shut down, or in fact, even collapse in the state of fear. So we're working to get back to moving and not moving the body in a state that isn't fearful. So I love that you can practice from home on your own terms, because this will really give you the space that you need to focus on you and not the expectations or demands of others, and mobilize and immobilize your body for love, for connection, for this enhanced relationship with your heart and your belly and your toes and your fingers. So here we go. We're going to begin, like most classes do, with some mobilizing practices. And I want to work with my spine, getting it kind of going, getting it warmed up so that I can do some other poses. And a nice way to start, especially if you have a system that's easily activated, right? Or just wants to shut down and needs a little, so this is a balancing practice. It can like help you activate, and it can also help you deactivate depending on where you're coming from. So let's start with some cat and cows, a good old classic with the beginning of a yoga class. So I have my towel, and which is always comforting. And I also like to lay my towel on my mat if I'm having to put my face there. So I have it handy. So I'm not putting my face where my feet go without the towel. I'm removing my block and heading over into cat and cow. And you can find cat and cow in, I think, pretty much all of these books. So my shoulders are above my wrists, my knees underneath my hips, and then I just begin to move the spine. Now, because I'm working toward mobilization without fear, I'm working toward mobilization with connection. I want to begin in a way where I'm very aware. I might even reorient toward my space. It's really interesting when you calm your nervous system, how your pets want to just be with you. And I work with horses, it's the same thing. When you are connected and grounded and breathing, the horses are drawn to you. So it's a little message from the outside, right? That your system is becoming aligned. So now I am moving, I'm dropping the belly, shoulder blades down my back, sit bones up, and then pressing into the earth and lifting my navel to spine, dropping my head, rounding my spine, and then dropping the belly. And you can see how my head, shoulders, hips are moving together. So this integration of movement of different parts of my body is a very healing thing. And notice that in your body that you are moving with intention and not reaction. This is mobilization without fear. Mobilization in your, what we call with the polyvagal theory and Deborah Dana, Ariel Schwartz, this idea of really moving in connection. In connection. Now, I want to integrate even more. I'm going to add my breath. So breath is activating and deactivating. So our breath can help us bring balance. So I'm going to exhale when I'm here in cat and inhale when I'm in cow. In cat, exhale and inhale and exhale. So now I'm really integrating the body. really integrating breath and movement, coming to neutral. Now, another thing we can do is start to connect with our sensations and be with sensations. So when we've been through trauma, we might, as a practice, as a protection, check out from feeling our sensations. We might have a worry that they're triggering. So yoga helps us. You see, I've moved my back leg back and I'm just rocking forward and back and getting a sense of the connection to my legs. And your legs, if you're gonna fight or flight, if you're gonna run, right, or engage in some way to protect yourself, you're gonna activate these big muscles in our legs. And if we are in a chronic trauma reactive state, we can have a lot of tension that we hold there all the time. So I'm just pressing back into the heel and letting those muscles stretch and relax. And while they're activated, like I'm doing something, I'm working and activating them, but I'm also stretching them and teaching these muscles that they don't have to be in a chronic activation state and that they can stretch, they can engage and relax. And then coming back to center and switching to the other leg. So just reminding, see, and that for me, I just noticed right there, this leg was really holding. And that makes sense. So you start to really learn your body, right? So I had this hip injury a long time ago. And so it's on the right side. So my left side works really hard, right? In an unbalanced way to try to take care of my other side. So this side was protecting, right? It was holding. So I'm giving it a little extra time to stretch. And I'm not judging. I'm like actually thankful for my left side body for working so hard. And I'm going to ask my left side body, like, you know, if it wants to take a little break here and just stretch. And I'm asking it with movement. Good. So now taking my legs wide, my knees, I'm sitting back in a child's pose. And depending on your flexibility, like go kind of as low as feels okay for your body. And then I'm walking my hands over to the right and drawing back through the left hip. So once again, just giving my muscles permission to soften. I'm even going to soften my head, soften my jaw, and draw the left hip back while I reach to the right. And now I'm adding breath and just the same kind of deep-ish yet subtle breaths that are telling the body it's okay, it's okay. And I'm walking to the other side, reaching and stretching. And the same breaths that it's okay body. And reminding your body, coming back up into table, that you're not going to ask it to do anything that really isn't okay for you. So anything that I say, if this, so I'm back into some cat and cows, I'm playing with the cat and cows a little bit. I might even do like circles as right, so you can kind of just experiment a little. So it's really good to get creative. This is the connective, creative state, and we want to remind our body that it exists in our lives. Now I'm just going to come a little forward and back. So forward in my table and back. Forward and back. So if anything I say does not enhance your relationship with your body or your soul or your connection to a higher power, a connection to the universe, then don't do it. Everything we do, right, in yoga, we want to really support those connections. And sometimes the yoga teacher's words help that, and sometimes they don't. And this is another part of healing, is that you have the freedom to choose, no matter what the yoga teacher says. You get to create this experience with your body. A huge responsibility, yes. So now we're going to move into a down dog, or you can stay in table. And again, I'm stretching through the backs of my legs, just allowing those muscles to soften and stretch, sinking through the heels. Ah. And then slowly walking my feet up, and I'll take a forward fold and adjusting my yoga pants. I'm taking a really wide stance in a forward fold and swinging. Ah. And seeing if I can let my jaw be soft. So activated protection muscles, the hips, the shoulders, the jaw. So we're just gonna see. Yeah. And I oriented myself so I'm forward folding with my back to where I don't have like a window behind me, I have a fireplace. Just so it's just kind of feels safe to forward fold like this. And then heel toeing my feet closer together. I'm gonna press, push into the earth, and then pull into my body. And then activating, mobilizing the whole body in a big body stretch. Ah, yay. All right, now it's taking side to sides. So this is a really comforting, balancing movement. I learned this way back in the day from my first teacher training with the Himalayan Institute here in Buffalo. And so just letting the body warm up. If you can see, I'm releasing my heels. You can even maybe, I'm not sure if you can hear, but sometimes there's a little crackling in your body. Good. And so now I've taken myself from orienting, grounding, and breathing to moving the spine. And now I've got the whole body moving. So we're going to take some whole body movements. So you can see me stabilizing. I'm giving my body lots of earth. You want to think of loss of balance and connection as your body just wanting more earth. It is not failure. It is your body wanting more earth. Give your body more earth. We're going to take a big breath in and out. So you can experiment here. So these are really big movements in and out. And so let's say your body feels like, oh, I'm hitting the edge of my window of tolerance. That is so big that I would like to do something smaller. So you can just do here, inhale, and just get your body used to it, right? And you might, with no pressure to be here either, right? It's just exploring this range of motion, this range of being human. And you're gonna find the range that feels right. Each of us will have our own comfort zone, our own growth zone. So we want to let go of pressure to make it any certain way. The goal is, we'll go back to rocking, is to just spend time being with your body, the sensations, the emotions, and the thoughts. Good. Good work. All right, we'll shake it out a little. Okay, and so the shaking is another way to get our body really feeling and being with, kind of letting go of the chronic holding and noticing any chronic holding. It's also kind of weird. So, right? If we walked into a room and someone's shaking, so we just want to acknowledge it's also just a little weird. But my dog shakes it off all the time, right? The horses shake it off all the time. And so Peter Levine talks about how, let me take a few more breaths, how humans just don't take the time, right, to kind of shake it off. So we're just letting our body discharge and take these breaths at your own pace. Yeah. So we're mobilizing here. So, okay, now we're going to activate and then relax through the hips and shoulders. And we're going to do that for the reasons I explained before, that when we first start working with trauma, we begin to notice that the fight or flight muscles are chronically activated. So we're tight here, we're tight here, we're tight in the jaw. And then even our gaze can be a bit focused on protection, and we end up in this protection mode with our whole body. And we're working toward softening and allowing for connection with ourselves, with others, with the world, maybe a higher power, purpose, meaning. So we need to soften for that a bit. And that softening can be very active and it can be very restorative. It can be both, but it's a connective approach to the movement. So here we go. We're going to begin with our legs. I have Finnegan right here. Grounding my left foot. So that would be your right. So let me ground my right so you can, I won't say foot. You can just copy me. I won't say right or left. So grounding your foot and then imitating me on the screen. Finding your center line. That means I'm pressing into the big toe part of my foot and stabilizing through the hips. So I'm activating now my one side here that I'm balancing on. This side has to really activate, and I might need more earth. That's okay, right? And I'm taking my hands out a little wide, so I'm legit balancing now. And this helps. This is harder than this. Not in a way we care about judgment. I like giving myself lots of support out here. So yeah, I'm taking it. And now I'm going to just move this free leg here in and out and pressing into the center line with my supporting leg. Now it's super easy because the leg is activated to activate the shoulders and the jaw. So our practice here is to be with our breath and see if you can soften your shoulders and soften your jaw while you're working your hips. It is not easy. You might notice. I've been doing this for a long time, and I know you might have seen my hips activated my shoulders and my jaw immediately. So, right? So this is an ongoing practice. There isn't any oh yeah, like I got better and I never had trauma reactions again. No, we just get to befriend. Oh, okay, I felt that a lot. Now we're gonna switch. Did you see I self-validated? I said, I felt that a lot. I'm switching legs. Yeah. So I'm breathing, I'm focusing and breathing. So I'm going to learn how to focus and breathe and soften while I'm working hard with my body. Focusing and breathing while I'm working hard with my body. Soft shoulders, soft eyes. Yeah. And then when I have a soft body, right? And when I say soft, I guess I should say more connection state, because what's happening here is not soft. But when I have a gentle, connected approach to what's happening in my life, my thoughts are different. And you might notice this too. My thoughts are more open, they're more accepting, they give room for error, they realize that I'm human, that other people are human, and they don't demand everything to be perfect and right, linear and successful. Oh, okay. Now, both hips have been activated. I'm going to go wide, hands on my hips, bend my knees, and just take big hip swings. I'm going to take these gently. If you have never done this before, and if you've had trauma that involves the body, this can feel like a lot. So start with just little. I'll do this with you, just little hip swings. So I'm side, back, side, forward. And just breathe. And then if this is triggering to a point where you feel like you're at the edge of your window of tolerance, then take a pause, start again, do your grounding breath, or just do one, right? Or not today. So you decide. So the power is in that you're going to do this work on your own pace, at your own pace, through your own decision making, through your own agency and self-determination, not me. I've been doing this for a long time, so right? Now I'm going to switch directions, and I'm going to take this a little bigger. Not that bigger is better, but that my body feels like I'm wanting to go bigger today to really stretch those muscles, especially this hip of mine. Yeah. So I'm doing this in an attuned way, So bigger for me this morning is attuned. For you, bigger might not be attuned, or bigger does feel attuned. What matters is the attunement with what the body needs, and not some linear, like bigger is better. Yeah. Attunement is what matters. Great. And now we'll just do side to side. So little, almost like, do you see a triangle could happen? Right? So we're going to see that. We're going to do side to side. So we're just getting ready for something maybe could happen here. So first side to side. Then I'm going to turn this foot out. This foot, I'm going to turn the toes in just slightly. Then I'm going to let this move into a triangle. And my triangle might be just like this. So I'm just reaching and allowing groundedness. I'm keeping softness in my knees so I can have an active relationship with the earth in my body. If I lock my knees or get real rigid, the relationship can't happen. So the softness, notice how even when I'm super active and engaged, there's a softness and a connection that allows for the relationship to grow. And then I'm moving into triangle. Here, I'm gonna grab a block. Yay. Yay for blocks. Ah. And if you don't have a block, a stack of books at home is good. Amazon has lots of blocks, as does a bunch of people. So I'm pressing into this front foot, my front foot. You can press into your front foot. Then taking my hips back and stacking my lungs through my connection to the earth. And at any pose, Ariel Schwartz talks about this in her book. This yoga for trauma recovery, that staying in a pose for a while and being with the breath gives us an opportunity to surrender. I like thinking of it as gives us an opportunity to be with what's here. Yeah, and this is important, especially if we've been in chronic fight or flight. That here, we're not going to fight, we're not going to run, we're just going to stay here. And not because someone is telling us to, but because we choose to explore what's here. Good, and then I'm going to come up, I'm going to bring my block and set it here so I have it. Good, I'm coming back to center and just doing the side to side. Getting a little there. Then turning this foot straight, this toe a little in, and then taking the triangle on this side. So each pose, right, I'm just being aware of sensations. It might bring up the sensations can happen because you're moving your body. So sensation is your body noticing a change or a shift. It could be muscles moving. It could be a sound in the environment. Something has changed. It went from no sound to sound. It went from not stretching to stretching, right? You went from not hungry to hungry. So sensations tell us about changes on the inside and the outside, right? They can even happen, and here's where it gets complicated. They can happen in relation to memories. They can happen in relationship to something we were thinking that then created a memory that then, right? Associations. So sensations are about what's in the here and now. And sometimes we get a bit of a chain of things that happen that begin to create sensations that begin to feel like something that's a memory is happening in the here and now. And so that's part of our practice, is we're going to be figuring out what is in the here and now, right? And staying there and discerning. We're going to come back up. Whoa. Yeah. And discerning the difference between that and the trauma memories coming back. And that's a lot for us to do. Now let's rotate our hips again, softening the knees. And again, do this just to where it feels okay for you. Softening the shoulders, softening the jaw. To make sure Yep, and we don't want this practice to be too long. I can get all excited about what I'm teaching you, and then I make the class too long, and then it's not accessible because it's too long. So I have to mind the time. So now we're just going to do the shoulders, some more breath work, bring it back down to the mat and close the class. So legs are closer together, a little more than hip distance apart. I'm just gonna roll my shoulders. So I'm pressing the shoulders down, then forward, then up by my ears, and then shoulder blades together and draw. So just like the hips, this can feel pretty open. So take the circles, however, like expansive, to the level of expansion that feels right in your body this morning or afternoon or evening, whenever you're practicing. It's Monday morning here. Yeah. And this is so good for me. So you might want to think about this too. So think about where in your day does your yoga practice make sense to set you up for success. So I'm going after this to do an equine therapy session at the barn with someone, and I want my body nice and regulated, not reactive, and I want to be filled with intention. So I'm doing this practice this morning in a way that does that. And I'll switch directions, back up, and you can be coordinating this with your breath. So we think of up and in, and down and out. And anytime, right, you notice that you're hitting the edge of your window of tolerance, and I'll talk about that more as we learn more and more in the classes, about how to expand our window of tolerance. Just slowly, just so we have more capacity to be in the world and be with others without feeling so triggered. It's very hard to feel triggered all the time. It's very stressful. And we walk around defensive because, right, we don't want to be triggered. And that's a hard way to go about things. Good. Now, the second part is the activation so we can feel the deactivation. Soft knees, here they are. And then I'm pretending like I'm bouncing balloons or basketballs. So not from my here, which I just did. I'm correcting myself, but from the shoulders. There. And I have a strong belly. I'm breathing. I can already feel it in my shoulders and my neck. Chin neutral. Oh. I love yoga so much. When I started doing yoga, I'd already had my two children, and I didn't think yoga was for me because I am not very flexible as a genetic trait or coordinated, which might be obvious. So I just thought it wasn't for me. Like, it was for dancers and former gymnasts and stuff, and not for me. And then a friend of mine took me to a class. She actually taught the class, and yeah, then that was that. I'm like, I didn't know you could feel this way without Cabernet, which is really nice, right? That we don't have to rely on substances to calm our body. All right, now I'm feeling a lot of activation, so I'm gonna stop and then give my body softness. So great effort, great rest. I'm noticing. I'll teach you about the self-awareness scale as we go. And I can post it up for you to see, not today, I'll teach you about it in the future. But this like awareness of where I am on a scale of 1 to 10 in terms of activation. And my shoulders were feeling kind of like a 6 or 7. Yeah, they were feeling very activated. All right, let's take them back. A few cleansing breaths. These are a little stronger because they're cleansing, clearing. Yeah. And so I felt I needed clearing breaths because I had been so activated. Now palms are up. And it's like I'm bouncing balloons up to the ceiling or letting pigeons free. Go pigeons. And again, I have soft knees, working my belly, awareness of the breath, but I'm activating this second layer here. So I got the hips, shoulders, jaw, the second layer of my kind of fight or flight system. I'm activating that on purpose. And then I'm practicing being with activation and realizing that my body can have activating sensations. And gosh, I'm here with two animals sleeping at my feet, right? In a peaceful house. An airplane just went over, I noticed. Okay, I'm feeling that. So I'm going to offer my body now rest, a softness. This time we'll do it a little differently. So crossing in the front, open, switch ones on the top. So really just letting those muscles be free. Yeah. We want to get, if 0 is like deep shavasana, right? 1, 2, like contemplation, meditation. In this state, I want to be like a 3, 4. I'm active, alert, engaged, but soft, inside my window of tolerance. Right. And then if it feels good for you, shaking it out. And you might just practice, right? A little like toe moving and arms twisting. So just like a little, you can do like a little twist. Yeah. And then that could be bigger shaking if you want. Could be whole body, right? I can make sounds. Yeah, and then side to side. Feels good. All right, the last thing we're gonna do is, so do this or skip this. So some final clearing breaths. So this time I'm gonna go up and out. Okay? And 5 times. And just see if I can soften on the down. If you want to try it and you don't want it to be so intense, just kind of come up and then go down softly with a big exhale. So pick your intensity level. So big breath in and out. 2. You can open your mouth. I'll do one more. And so you can see my activation level change tabs. He's like, are we playing? And so we want to get into like, right? It's okay to get into a playful state, and it doesn't have to be into fight or flight. All right, coming back down onto the ground. So I'm just gonna situate myself back onto my block into seated. So here, I'm gonna put a big, this is the, so you can kind of find it if you're looking for it. This is where we're going to just do a bit of closing. Perfect, perfect timing. So bringing ourselves from that energy level, I'm noticing my energy level, the activation of my nervous system. I have like a bit of like this feeling of buzzing. I know when I first started practicing, I really couldn't feel much at all. So please make space for that. And that practice of noticing sensations can take a long time, and it's okay. I've been practicing for over 20 years. And yeah, it doesn't matter how long it takes because the practice is just good for you. And then it will bring you, practice, I guess, and all is coming, or at least something's coming. So just allow for the sensations. I'm going to do a chin mudra. So mudras it's like hand yoga that we can do to symbolize or activate ourselves in certain ways. Chin mudra means a lot to me, and how I interpret it, how I experience it, is that the finger represents me and my ego and my attempts to try to, right, control things so that everyone that I love is safe and the world will always be good and things will always go as I hoped, which is silly, right? Because it's impossible. So that's ego, the belief that we could do that. And then the thumb here is, if you'll see, it goes right to our hearts and into that inner light and that connection with the universe and something bigger than ourselves. And for some of us, that's God, a God of your understanding, the universe, spirit. It could be a deity, but something bigger than you. So I take my ego and I connect it to this bigger than me that I release, right? And I call this my releasing mudra, where I let go, let God, let go and let the universe, and my need to believe that I could truly keep everyone and everything safe and make everything and everyone happy. And yeah, that can be a trauma response too, that we try to kind of control the world so no one ever gets hurt again. Um, and while I wish that was true, we simply, as one person, aren't that powerful. So it's this balance between realizing our vulnerability and our wishes to be powerful, and then also honoring the good work we do to really truly make this world a safer place for people. So I'm letting go and I'm letting God, I'm letting go and letting the universe, but I'm also honoring my role in it in a non-ego way, in a way that makes sense. And I'm just sitting with that release as I notice the energy settle in my body. I'm breathing in and breathing out and breathing in and breathing out and breathing in and breathing out. And breathing in and breathing out. And then releasing my hands all together and then bringing them into Anjali Mudra. So Anjali Mudra, it has this like space in here for possibility, and bringing that possibility close to my heart and breathing with that possibility close to my heart. And it's the possibility that I can really truly connect with my own determination, self-determination, my own sense of agency, that I am powerful and powerless at the same time. So hard. Marshall Linehan called these dialectics, where there's two things that are true at the same time. And when we've been traumatized, we want just one thing to be true, the other thing to be true. Yeah. And it's often in this world, multiple truths existing at the same time, and that's hard in a trauma body. We want judgment. We want to know what's safe and what's not safe. And the world is complicated. And then maybe here we can say a bit of a meditation or prayer. May my nervous system come to know the balance, come to know the dialectic, come to know this middle place where many things are true, where I am powerful and in some places powerless. And that's perfectly, exactly what's meant to be. That I'm not perfect, right? And I'm on a journey to find my way that isn't about timelines and not about bigger is better or any form of kind of expression is better than any other. That I'm on this journey toward relationship with my breath, with my body, with myself, with others in the world. And in that relationship, I'll learn to be with and work with whatever shows up. May this practice in me serve this kind of practice in others. And may all beings know this practice of finding balance in the self, finding balance in relationship. Thank you so much for practicing with me. And these classes will be on the playlist. Will be the kind of working with trauma series. Om Shanti Shanti Om. Peace. Thank you.